crazy. That's crazy. But somehow I turned into the fucking bad guy. Because, oh, that's not right. That's not okay. You can't just go and kill them. But they're fucking asking for it. That's fucking stupid. Who fucking made the rules? That's fucking stupid, dude. Talking all that shit. He wants to fucking die, bro. He's gonna wake up to my fucking knife in his throat. That's where he's gonna fucking wake up. If anything, I don't even want to shoot his ass. I want to fucking stab him. I want him to suffer. I'm gonna fucking slice his throat. Make sure he's gurgling to death on his fucking blood. Actually, I'll just stab him in his fucking lungs so he can't fucking breathe, and he'll be choking to death on his fucking blood. Not even gonna bleed out. He's just gonna he's gonna drown in his blood. Stupid, bro. Don't get a fucking locked out too. Don't kill it, so I won't even get in trouble for that.
What are you doing?
Like, honestly, where the fuck am I even bleeding from? Fucking stupid.
What?
I just get blood on my shirt. Like, that's so stupid. Where the fuck am I bleeding from? Fucking retarded, dude, I swear. Can't catch a fucking break. Bro, we should just kill him. We should legit fucking kill that guy. I don't even know. I just feel like it would be a good idea. But that's just me. It's taking up space anyways. Like if I killed him, who's gonna go looking for him anyways? If I do, who the fuck's gonna go looking?
Can you not?
Who's gonna look? Nobody. The police ain't gonna look.
Can you fucking not? Stop.
Who's gonna file a missing report?
Just fucking
Nobody.
stop.
And if anybody did, I'd kill their ass.
This is not okay.
No, it's really not okay that people are talking shit. That's stupid.
No, it is not. But I need you to stop, please.
Oh, but I'm in the wrong now. Yeah, that's how that works.
I just need you to stop.
It's fucking bullshit. I don't even want to have my fucking snacks anymore. I'm out of it.
What?
Nothing. I just have dots all over my fucking shirt. I don't know where it's from. Excuse me.
What?
I just need to watch something. So
Then go watch something.
Did you even fucking like the snacks I got you?
You didn't even get me.
I got you your barbecue chips and I got you the fucking... They didn't have salsa verde or whatever it's called. I got you your fucking
Okay, well,
Sprites
can you
too.
stop talking to me like that?
Oh, so that's the problem now. Not when Danny was talking shit, right? It's me. That's crazy.
Can you just please stop?
That's fucking fair. Whatever. Did you hear me talking just now? I wasn't. It's great you don't stand up for me, but when I do, it's a fucking problem.
I stand up for you all the time. So
for what? For what? For what?
Everything.
Okay, well, he was talking shit. Maybe it's time for him to die, like, seriously. This day was going fine, too, but you just put me in a bad mood, and now all I can think about... No, yeah, you did, actually. When you started head-tripping me on some shit.
Nobody was head-tripping.
No, you were, though. But either way, it put me in a bad mood, and now I just want to fucking kill them, because they're even one of the reasons I'm fucking stressed in general, so... You can go get your food. You can go get your food.
Can I just go get my
Yeah,
food?
you can. You can. Go ahead. Go get your food.
Mm-hmm.
Power on. Bluetooth paired.
From the perspective of the player, which is that of an intruder onto chaos, this is a small story. A story of how a suspect was either surprised by this person or met resistance, and shot them in a way that had them falling against the panel and knocking it over. One of the elevator doors are closed. No story there. The others are closing on the head of one of the employees. Relentless in their mechanical idiocy. Poor guy probably startled one of the robbers with an itchy trigger finger when the doors opened, and they just left him there. And how to end the game if not with questions of life itself. Hallways of the Mount Threshold Research Center are decorated with posters and slogans celebrating scientific progress. New Age is proclaimed over images of chemical symbols, molecules, and fetuses. They could be used in a real-life facility with the same purpose. One poster is provocative in particular. Prayers answered. Both words are bent in relation to the worldview of those involved. Army of Fate has stormed the building, ready to take life. Life which the scientists are claiming to be improving, while answering people's prayers to the God that the Army of Fate claims to be serving through the act of violence they're doing. This is why I have continuous appreciation for SWAT 4, because it always finds ways to insert motive and psychology in the most minuscule of its details. It connects its environment to violence and crime that take place within it, instead of leaving it a mere stage for them. In a broader sense, SWAT 4 helps complete the picture of how Irrational went from Med-Sci to Fairview and further to Rapture and Columbia, and how their environments always tell stories and reflect psychology. SWAT 4 creates a world with post-its on monitor edges, cut birthday cakes, and cockroaches, but its themes are ultimately explored through its depiction of criminality. Even though it doesn't have a traditional story, there is thematic consistency within narrative bits offered through motivations for crime. The game explores the culmination of specific societal issues, unweaving individual threads from the tapestry of criminality of a metropolitan area. Doing that, it naturally explores parts of the fabric of the American society itself, and that is the connective tissue across the career. Every mission brings its own micro-narrative and theme. the ever-present gun debate, societal fascination with the phenomenon of serial killers, armed robbery as a way to get drug money, gang violence along racial lines, Grand Theft Auto, bank robbery that resulted in a hostage situation because a software company office is open on a Saturday, a violence that spills over, illegal betting, a robbery that juxtaposes two breeds, the complex relationship between fringe groups, freedom, and a messiah complex, an international incident hinting at the US involvement in managing conflicts overseas, the Korean War in particular, which was a result of the Cold War. But then when the Cold War enemy does fall apart, its guns come to the USA through international gun trade routes to kill its citizens and fire at its SWAT teams. Isolationism and anti-immigration militia groups, and an ideological clash between a specific branch of science and a particular understanding of religion. All of these momentary pinnacles of violence can be traced down to continuous debates within the American public about race, religion, scientific progress, firearms, freedom, life itself, and their roots run deep into the individual sense of self as well as collective identities. In order to create drama that warrants a violent response, SWAT 4 naturally pushes these issues to the extreme side of the spectrum. You don't just face people expressing their opinions but violently acting upon them. While most crimes are given a believable motive, the sociology and pathology of it are merely hinted at. Ideology or religious beliefs are enough to explain why somebody is standing there with a gun, but it hardly explains how they came to be a part of it in the first place. That would have been great, but a lot to ask for at the same time. During Clinton's administration, a law was passed in '94 that, among other things, banned the use of high-capacity magazines. Neo is using his skill to fill out the vacuum on the market and capitalize on the opportunity to sell modifications at higher prices. Just because a government decides to ban something doesn't mean people will stop trying to get it. A practice true for many goods and services, including gambling. Ever since London Fog gave birth to Jack the Ripper, we had a societal fascination with the phenomenon of serial killers who develop personal mythologies through their MOs. According to the CDC, opioid epidemic in the US has been going on since late 90s. The fact that Alice Jenkins has put together a sloppy robbery in order to pay for her addiction implies one such crisis in the city. I find the briefing section about it rather humanizing.
So far, we have one likely ID, Alice Jenkins. She's been in rehab for oxycodone addiction. Oxycodone is an opiate similar to heroin, equally addictive. It's prescribed legally as a Schedule II drug, making it possible for any idiot with a falsely obtained prescription to turn dealer. It sells for up to $80 a pop on the street.
She might have had it prescribed to ease the pain of a herniated disc. That her victims are store clerks is an inevitable tragedy of an urban setting. But this just goes to show how its depiction of crime cuts close to the bone.
Look, I don't care about the money.
Just quit your whining.
SWAT 4 creates a spectrum of criminality, from suspects in jeans and sneakers to armored militia. Guys in charge of the bookmaking operation wear suits, which goes to show that even crime has a dress code. Social strata is also represented, as crime affects clerks, homeless people, executive alike. That moment you realize that an employee is part of a criminal activity is so subversive. It exploits the concept of appearance the same way hitman games do. A gardener must be a gardener, otherwise nothing is for sure. If you start questioning the attire of each person you come across, the world will become hell. You encounter this in the first mission. One of the cooks is in on it. But in the diamond store robbery, this is part of the whole scheme. It's mentioned during the briefing as a possibility, and one of the employees voices his suspicion.
They really knew what they were doing. Came in here like a ton of bricks. I've never been so scared in my life.
They needed an insider to pull it off, and indeed you find two suspects in suits. Just as you got used to suspects not looking like civilians, there's those two guys. During the auto repair robbery, a guy from sanitation pulls a gun on him, with no explanation. In most of the missions you have what for the purpose of this analysis has to be called ordinary criminals. People who wear the same faces as civilians. They rob, kill, make and sell illegal stuff. Their motivation is clear, understandable even. These are ordinary people. They wake up in the morning and put a wristwatch on, wear prescription glasses, have tattoos. Progressively you face better organized and more determined suspects that increasingly resemble the element. Then there's a group with questionable mental health and radical states of psyche. This is where the game is disturbingly implicated. It suggests a lot with strange symbols and creepy masks, but refuses any objective explanation. The last category are groups with ideological platforms. America Now is an isolationist and anti-immigration group, and they bring that old dogma of land and blood that has shed so much of it across many lands. The original hotel ownership had financial trouble, and it was brought out of bankruptcy by a French company. America Now stresses the importance of the domestic ownership of the land and property, and they have calculated a debt to the American people somewhere in that transaction. Being against foreigners, free trade, and foreign capital, they demand the debt settled at the threat of life of the company's heir. Army of Fate is a domestic terrorist group known for bombing facilities reaching stem cells and cloning technology. The group is based on an active Christian terrorist network called Army of God, known for its anti-abortion violence throughout the United States. In case of the Children of Tyrone, the second and third category intervene, and this is where there are the most psychological layers and variation present. Their lines during confrontations or while being cuffed are bizarre and reveal a system of indoctrination based on who knows what. Fear, delusions, exploitation of mental illness. But there's no doubt that they consider this man to be what he says he is. It's scary at moments. It's as if the game comes alive when they begin to inform you as to just how much they believe in whatever it is that they believe.
My hands are empty, but I will fight.
With America Now and Army of Fate, things are pretty clear. They are based on a wide selection of real-life militia groups that fall under umbrella terms such as patriot movements, sovereign citizens, or simply American militia. Their ideologies range from serpent seed doctrines to neo-fascism, with survivalism, anti-government, conspiracy theories, and your vanilla garden variety white supremacy with less mythology in between. Children of Tyrone are a combination of several real-life cults: People's Temple, Heaven's Gate, and Branch Davidians. This prominent usage of a cult and fringe groups, both militant, is particularly interesting. It's a long-standing stereotype for a reason. There is just something about American identity and freedom. Of course, it's not exclusive, and there are all sorts of freedoms across the world, but ever since the colonies, there was an inherent connection between that complex moniker American, the land itself, and freedom with a capital F. Perhaps more like a cult of freedom, with everything good or bad that comes with it. I think that a direct line of reasoning can be traced from pilgrims escaping persecution for religious beliefs in Europe to militias and cults. It is only a radical implementation of that identity, one that places its rights over others. It's freedom that interprets itself as worthy of encroaching upon other freedoms. Freedom degenerated into isolationism and militantism. A lot of such phenomena simply aren't possible outside of the US. Militant groups are a result of various freedoms, most prominently the freedom to possess firearms. That's why you have to go in there and meet their violence with your own. People all over the world have a messiah complex, but Tyrone has guns to put behind his. People have a whole spectrum of thought about cloning and stem cell research, at least in simplistic terms, but they just don't have the means to oppose them outside of voting or holding a protest sign. Army of Fate does. SWAT 4 squeezes a lot of social commentary in its missions, about freedom and governance and motivations for crime, but it doesn't offer any conclusions except that it's all often paid for in lives.
Change isn't just good, it's creamy and spicy. Rum chata. Have your unusual.
Motivation behind criminality and psychology of space are a meeting point of storytelling. In 3 missions in particular, this is crafted masterfully. Fairfax Residence provides an intimate insight into a bizarre phenomenon, without the barrier of a news report or overly artistic depiction of a movie. The briefing is realistic and immersive, but it doesn't prepare you for what you're in for. It does set up a very convincing framework, though. A series of murders are placed in context. A profile of victims is given. One of them fought her killer, and police were able to get a DNA match of skin scrapings underneath her nails. To make things more complicated, another student went missing recently, and judging by his MO, she might still be alive. Suspect is a quiet guy, currently works as a carpenter at the university where victims were studying. There is nothing out of the ordinary as you look at the back entrance porch of the Fairfax residence. You hear birds and crickets instead of incoming traffic or rushing trains. Traveling from a city to a suburban area was always an aesthetic experience for me. All the peculiarities of suburbia begin to emerge. Things get quieter, space becomes more intimate. There's not a tall building in sight. You can almost imagine families in their mundanity around the neighborhood. Seems like a good morning can I borrow this tool kind of place, where everyone knows each other and everyone takes care of everyone's kids. Truth is that out there in the nature we are exposed to many dangers, but inside a city we are trapped with each other. It is a cage for all of human phenomena. It's early morning and the dawn is yet to pale into whiteness. As soon as you step in, layers of stories merge and dissolve into each other. A place with an utter disregard for hygiene, with elements of hoarding. Trash is ready to be taken out, but nobody has done it in a long time. Cockroaches have claimed the place as their own. Dishes are piled up in the sink. One of the officers comments on the smell. Main source of calories are ready meals. Gladys has health issues and has to use a walker and a toilet chair occasionally. There's also an old wheelchair in the corner. There's a bunch of her pills in the bathroom. She's a compulsive smoker. She still has a friend who wishes her well. Her unique posture confirms both her age and her health problems. Crossing the doorstep is the cue and the soundtrack is chilling. It's as if the sound pours out of the misery of the place. As you enter the living room, you hear TV static over a flickering screen, and then out of nowhere a radio broadcast cuts in with a message from Melinda's mother. It sounds horrifying. The pauses, stuttering, crying, and the final breakdown. It all sounds so realistic. The choice of words, how she begins with, "I would just like to say," because who can have a script for something like that? "If you can hear me, honey," because she's already aware on some level that this message might never reach her daughter. To whoever it took her, because she has no idea who it might be. There is no obvious motive to why her daughter was chosen. This is not something a family can rationalize, process. She says, "I beg you," then stops, wishing to amplify it, and then whimpers out, "Please." The house is rustic. There are cracks in the walls, furniture, half curtains, wooden shutters, floorboards. Everything seems so old. There's a distinct line of mold on the wallpaper. In a few spots it had peeled off to reveal old boards underneath. Bathroom faucet is dripping. Something's wrong with the heating system. There's a knocking sound coming from the radiator. It is a home that implies all kinds of misery. But under this decay, there's a memory of happier times. A growth chart recorded Lawrence's height as a child. He appears to have lagged behind the average but had caught up by the age of 19. At a point in time in the past, this is where this old lady was drawing these lines at the top of her son's head. She sleeps in a large double bed, but no mention of a father figure is ever made. Lawrence's room remains as it was when he was a kid, with race car motifs and something of a den-like fortress, with disturbed drawings inside. A childhood is trapped within those walls. The room is now used as a storage for old newspapers. Two motifs are present throughout the first floor. The place appears to be near an ocean. As soon as you open the door, a painting of a wooded coastal region welcomes you in. There is one imitating a porthole window looking out on a lighthouse. A real helm hangs on a wall. Above a dead fireplace, there is a painting of a gloomy old sailor with a shipwreck against the rocks behind him. Below the painting is a statue of one in the iconic yellow raincoat. Perhaps Fairfaxes were a family of sailors. Throughout the floor you find religious imagery. There are two statues of Mother Mary behind the couch. Gladys has a crucifix next to her bed and a painting of the Good Shepherd. She keeps a replica of the two stone tablets of the Decalogue on the side of her closet. What possible role his mother's religious beliefs could have had on his becoming or on her denial remains unexplained. This is a space of history that goes far beyond that moment. Its horror and its misery were in the making decades before you have stepped into that kitchen. While these policemen were living their lives, this horror was being incubated within the rotten walls of a suburban home, the likes of many you drive by perhaps every day. In the garage you find a white van. That's how he transports his victim back to the house. A nod to the silence of the lamps. Rats in cages have died from negligence, which means Lawrence was busy doing something else. There's a discarded bench press in the corner. His physique confirms it has been for a while. This is where I usually find him, bald and hairless.
You just always have stress.
Yeah.